3 mental manipulations that took me from the $8,000 per month to $100,000 per month in 8 months. Number one thing is I had to make my mind believe, I had to manipulate my mind to believe that simplification is what scales. 2019, I had 7 or 8 different services that I was offering within one business. I had all these businesses and I was lying to myself saying, oh, these are just services. They were all little businesses, and combined, I was making 8 grand. On top of that, December 2019, I was probably in 20 different niches between all of my stuff, making $8,000 per month. Most of those niches weren't making me money. I was doing so many things. I was running 1,000,000 miles an hour, doing 1,000,000 different things. And I thought more and complexity and addition was the game, when really the game was simplification and subtraction. So what I did in 2020 is I simplified. And I said, I am going to focus on lead generation because that is the only thing that's asset-based. Boom. I got rid of all the niches. I got rid of all of them. I said, I'm going to focus on 2 things. Number one is I'm going to focus on the websites that I've already built that are producing leads, because that makes total sense, right? They're already producing leads. And number 2, I'm going to pick one niche. I'm going to learn that. I'm going to be the expert. I'm going to be an authority, and we are going to scale that one niche. And that niche in 2020 was tree service. I had all these weird deals that I was doing with people, right? And I said, I'm not doing that. I am going to have a standardized pricing. I'm going to do flat fee deals, and I'm going to do 6-month contracts, and it's going to be at least $1,000 a month, period. That's it. And I kept simplifying, and I said, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm not going to be doing lunches with the boys. I'm not going to Wednesday lunch to talk business because it's not making me money. And when I wake up, I'm not going to be doing 100 different things and focusing on this, focus on that. I am going to focus on one sales process, and that's it. And that was pre-selling. That is figuring out how to run paid ads, get a couple leads, get those leads, send them to a few business owners, and get a deal. And I'm going to perfect that. And guys, through this simplification, I got rid of the hobbies. I got very, very disciplined. I did not watch Netflix on weekdays. I did not hang out. I just simplified, and I got rid of all the BS. And guys, I'm telling you right now, if you think there's something that you're missing that you need to do that's stopping you, most likely it's something that you need to stop doing. The second thing that was a huge mental manipulation for me is I had this moment in time. Many of you guys have heard me talk about this, but I had this moment in time where I realized that the difference between where I was and where I wanted to be was just a difference of my standards. And I'm not talking about standards maybe in the way you're thinking. I'm talking about standards in terms of what I have to do every single day. What is acceptable to me every single day? And I think I heard Tony Robbins or somebody say this, like the difference is just a difference of standards. If you have a certain standard, no matter what, you are going to get to that standard and you're going to get there immediately. And I realized, I looked around, I'm like, it's so weird, Nick. Every single day, no matter how busy you are, no matter how stressed you are, you always find time to sleep. You always find time to eat. You always find time to shower. And this is the one that really was interesting to me, is like, and also you always go and work out. Like I had ingrained, since I've been working out every single day, 6 days a week, since I was 16, 17 years old. Literally, when I lived in West Africa, we freaking got weights. We took milk cartons, like milk cans, and filled them with cement. And dude, I've always worked out. When I go on travel to Africa, I do not miss. If I got to get up at 4 in the morning because I'm getting on a plane and I got to drive somewhere to get on the airport, I will go at whatever time it is because I do not feel well. I literally do not enjoy the day unless I go. It's like, it's just a checkbox. And I started realizing, I'm like, dude, you've been so disciplined. You've been so good about that. And it's worked. And you've never been out of shape and all this. I'm like, dude, Nick, why don't you have the same mentality with deals, with money? Great, you're in shape. That's awesome, man. But that ain't paying the bills. I'm like, if I didn't feel well unless I asked somebody to pay me, unless I asked somebody to do business with me, what would my bank account look like? And I made that shift and I said, all right, I am going to figure out how I can ask somebody for money every single day. And then it's like, okay, then you see more problems, right? You go, okay, well, I want to ask somebody for money, but like, how do I ask somebody for money that doesn't know me? Well, we got to get people to know us, and we got to get them leads. And how do we get more leads? We got to set it. And it becomes this problem that you have to solve. But I got very, very obsessed of like, Nick, take the same standard you have with working out and do the same thing with asking people for money. Ask for money every single day. Last thing, this is something that I actually did have to tell myself mentally, and I had to mentally manipulate myself in 2019. thing is up until 2019, guys, I was the guy, maybe like many of you, you're like, I'm going to do this business model. I'm going to do this business model. I was the guy that was going to do it for X period of time, or I was going to spend this much money on whatever. And if it worked by this period, boom, I was going to do it. If not, I'm going to go try something else. There was always something in my back pocket. There was always the next business to start. And I always had that in the back of my mind. Well, if this doesn't work, I'll just go be a sales guy for somebody else because I'm good at sales, right? I always had that whole, if this works by such and such date. 2019, I sat down, I grabbed one of these legal pads. I shut off my phone and I wrote a question at the top of this page, and I wrote, what the F do you want? I was really pissed off. And at the very top of it, the first thing that came to my mind is I put $100,000 per month. Arbitrary number. Don't know why I put 100. It's just something I want to do. I knew it'd be well over $1 million. It'd be 1.2 million, whatever, $100,000. And then I wrote why. And I spent a good 2 hours and I just drilled down. And I realized that in order for me to hit the $100,000 that I said I wanted to hit, the only way that was going to work is if a couple things happen. Number one, I had to own the business. Me being a sales guy for somebody else, it wasn't going to cut it. Secondly, the business has to be something with the internet, right? Because it's scalable, blah, 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 blah. And I just kept going down. I started making this checklist of like, in order to hit that $100,000, here's the type of business I have to have. And I have to have a business. I have to own the business and I have to control the pricing. And I made this checklist and I got to the end of the checklist. And guess what, guys? I realized that the business that I was already in was the freaking business that checked all the boxes. It was scalable. It was low barrier to entry. It had assets. It was on the internet. Dude, I was like, what are you doing, Nick? It's the business. But the problem is I got into the business in 2016. I got sidetracked by complexity. And next thing you know, I'm making $8,000 a month with 7 different services and I just $60,000 in debt. And I had the business the whole time sitting right in front of me. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal, Nick. This business, it's gotta be it. You've tried all these other little businesses within the business and they're not scalable. This has to work. I shifted my mindset to, I am going to do this until it works. Not if this thing doesn't happen or if this happens by this date, but until it works. And I heard this quote in one of my favorite books. The quote is, do not fear the work that has no end.